When we began looking for our kind of targeted research question for this research study, we really looked at the overarching research question, asking about our personal identities as teachers and how they impact our pedagogical identities, especially when it comes to that science of reading and how to get students, interested in reading. And when we sat down to our collaborative meetings and we kept talking about struggles we have had as teachers, struggles that we have had as students, and really thinking about what motivated us to enjoy reading or to become good readers. And so that is where we came up with our targeted research question. How does an educator's lived experience impact instruction to foster intrinsic motivation in reading? That intrinsic motivation piece, that internal desire, what is reading and what is it going to help me do? Rather than, oh, I'm reading for a party or I'm reading for a prize, I'm reading because I'm being told to. We did this research because we wanted to know how to best foster that desire, that personal interest in reading, and how does that impact through our own beliefs of reading.
Overall, I have not had the greatest relationship as reading when I was a student. As a child, I disliked reading and felt that it was kind of pointless because I had a vivid imagination and really felt, why did I need to get lost in someone else's stories when I could get lost in my own? This kind of came to head in eighth grade because I was struggling really bad when it came to reading. I was often just skimming books and relied on summaries or cliff notes because I just saw little value in the assigned reading. Ninth grade is really when everything changed in my ninth grade literature class after reading Fahrenheit 451. I kind of described my experience with the book as kind of beyond scared straight. The title drew me in, and then the message about censorship and the power of books transformed how I viewed reading. And overall, that experience taught me that reading that text can ignite a lifelong love of reading, and it continues to shape how I support students who struggle to find books that resonate with them by promoting them to explore books that match their interest.
My love for reading was established as a young child thanks to my parents, to teachers, and to my librarian in elementary school. They all really pushed that reading was a great way to improve yourself and make you a better person. And so I took that literally and shaped my identity as a reader around characters such as Hermione Granger. She was the smartest person in the entire story because of how much she read and how good of a reader she was. And so it really became a pillar that if I become a good reader and I read a lot, then I'm going to be super smart and super, awesome and powerful and all the things. And that's something that I try to instill in my students as an educator, is that reading is a powerful way to improve yourself, whether you improve personally or academically. And that's something that personal gain is what I try to foster into my students, that I don't want you to be a good reader because the state standards require it. I want you to be a good reader because it's going to help you in every facet of your life.
I've had a positive relationship with reading as far back as I can remember. In elementary school, I remember reading all the time, and I loved taking the AR quizzes so that I could earn points and get rewards. In middle school, this love continued as I read series like The Hunger Games and Divergent and just fell in love with the characters and the storylines. In high school, when I took World Lit classes and American Lit classes, I got to read the classic novels that so many of us read in high school, and that really shaped me into who I am today. And I think that's a really important part about reading is it really does shape us in so many ways. It shaped the decision or guided the decision for me to become an English major in college, which I also loved, and ultimately to become an English teacher. A lot of the strategies that I've learned along the way, I'm able to give to my students to help them, especially the ones that do struggle or don't love reading. I can encourage them through my love. So I think that's really
The literature has a very pointed explanation for describing the relationship between intrinsic motivation and reading. Firstly, the literature shows that students demonstrate higher levels of motivation when they have opportunities for choice and autonomy in their learning, and that providing students with opportunities to select reading materials does lead to increased engagement, enjoyment, and most importantly, reading comprehension. Students are more motivated when reading experiences are relevant to their interests, their goals, and most importantly, their personal experiences. Positive relationships between teachers and peers led to an increased sense of belonging, which led to increased confidence and increased motivation towards reading. Overall, the literature shows that intrinsic motivation is strengthened when students experience reading as meaningful and purposeful. Additionally, the literature shows that struggling readers benefit from scaffolded instructional supports that make grade level text accessible. These supports should include vocabulary instruction, reading strategies, guided discussion, and collaborative learning opportunities. Reading achievement is shown to be influenced by both literacy skills and motivational factors like engagement, autonomy, and confidence. Growth mindsets and self-efficacy do help students persist through challenges and achieve stronger reading outcomes, as it eliminates learned helplessness within students. Finally, research suggests that students do experience the greatest growth when instructional supports combines evidence-based literacy practices with motivational instruction. 10th grade American literature, my teacher, her name was Stephanie Holtze. She was a kook, but I absolutely loved her. I mean, just absolutely crazy. And that's why I adore her. And we talk every once in a while. I mean, just bonkers. But she was probably the only class that really did not do direct instruction because she was so ADHD, she couldn't focus that long to do direct instruction. And so she would do um, I think the word is reading menus is the term that she would use. She would do reading menu projects. So like she would give us a choice of books that we could choose from, and then we would choose the book, and then if whoever in the class chose the same book as you, then you were in like a book club together, and so y'all would read the book together and talk and stuff like that. And so she was kind of a imperative person in my ELA experiences because of just how she loved and kind of brought the literature to life. So I was curious if y'all had any ELA teacher who impacted your relationship with literature.
My seventh grade teacher, and I think I talked about her in mine this week as well, but she was the same way, just like very ADHD all over the place, but we loved her. And for me, like I'm severely ADHD, can never sit still, can never like I think in spirals all the time. So it worked for me because she was very like we'd read a chapter and then we'd go do something and then we'd read two chapters and then go do something and it was always something different. So for me it was really engaging and it worked. It worked with my brain if that makes sense. Like it just clicked for me. Um because it was very hands-on and very different. It was never no 2 days were exactly the same. Um, and for me, that really helped, I think, me to stay engaged and not get bored. It didn't kill the love for reading because we were just sitting at a desk reading the entire class. Like for me as a middle schooler, I could not have handled that. So she really impacted, I think, my love for reading.
Um, Mine would probably be my sophomore British literature teacher in high school. I always loved reading, but I didn't start picking up on like the nuances between like certain things or the impact of it. And this teacher, she was crazy. She literally was Linda from Bob's Burgers. Like she looked like Linda, talked like Linda, like it was hilarious. But she I remember her and I had like a very special almost relationship because I was a sophomore in a senior level English class. And so I was like the first one that had the answer and I was like always on top of it. And her and I would discuss like things in class that other kids would be like, what are y'all talking about? And I'm like, stay in your seat, don't worry about it. Um, but it really helped me start discovering the nuances between like the way the authors chose to do things. And it started making me develop like an intense love for the deeper parts of literature. It's not just reading on that surface level. It's identifying like the different in-depth pieces of it that I thought and
I now see reading as an opportunity for students to connect personal interests with meaningful learning experiences based on my own personal experience with reading and just through the research during this course showing me how impactful it can be when students see themselves or their own experiences within the books they are reading.
I now see that reading for students needs to be a way to improve themselves, and they have to see that. It can't be just me or another teacher or an adult in their life being like, "You need to read; it'll make you better." It's got to be that personal connection for them. It's got to show them that, wow, reading can help me do things. It can make me better. It can pave a pathway to success and growth in my future. And once students are able to do that, once students make that connection, then really that's when that intrinsic motivation can happen for students. And reading is that vehicle to success. And students, once they realize that, then hopefully that love of reading will happen.
I now see reading as an opportunity to inspire students to gain confidence while practicing a growth mindset. Throughout this research, we really found that a growth mindset is a really vital factor that contributes to motivation. We can help students develop a growth mindset by teaching them skills and providing differentiated instruction through supports and different vocabulary, graphic organizers, things like that to really help them build their confidence and engage with the books that they're reading. Our research revealed significant implications for the field of education and reading. Intrinsic motivation plays a critical role in supporting reading comprehension. Educators have a vital role in helping students create relevant connections to reading materials. Meaningful connections and scaffolded supports help students engage and access material even if it's challenging and even if they might struggle with reading.